Now we get to the nouns, and we're going to talk about cases of nouns. And you're going to start hearing a lot of words that you're not familiar with, and these are real technical grammar terms, but they are important. So I recommend that you take notes for yourself, read the book, and watch the video several times in order to get familiar with the terminology. Let's talk about what case is. Case is the change in form that shows the grammatical relationship of nouns to other words in the sentence. Alright, so you read this in the book. This is exactly what it says in the book, and it's hard to understand what the heck they're talking about when it's written that way. So that's why I'm here. Let's look at the sentences. John threw the ball. Here I have the word bull in different color, and the word bull appears in the other sentences as well, and also John. What is the relationship here? John is the person who is doing the action, and so we call that the subject of the sentence. And the subject is, sometimes we say the subjective case, but the more technical word is in the nominative case of the noun, which means that's how it's used in the sentence, that it's in the subject position. It plays the subject role of doing the action. Whereas the bull is the thing that is being thrown. It is receiving that action. So that's the object of the sentence, and we say this word is in the objective case. When it comes to English nouns, it doesn't really matter whether the word is whether the word is in the subjective case, nominative case, or the objective case. But if you were studying Latin, for example, the word forms will change. The noun forms will change depending on that, and so it would be more important there. Not so much when it comes to nouns, but it is important when we're talking about the pronouns and pronoun cases. If we were to change these words, John and bull, to pronouns, let's say bull is a boy, then we would have to say he threw him, and not him threw he. That would be wrong, right? And that's where case makes a difference. All right, next sentence, the bull threw John. In this case, bull is doing the action, so that is the nominative case. John is the object, and that's the objective case. It's reversed here. John's cape, here, this is called the possessive case, and the possessive is adding the apostrophe S. The cape eluded bull's horns, so that's also a possessive case. All right, just some examples there. Let's study them a little more in detail. Nominative case. What is a nominative case? A noun is said to be in the nominative case when it acts this way. When it acts as the subject of a verb. All right, so we saw that John was acting as the subject when he was throwing the ball. When it acts as a predicate nominative, okay, or PN as we say in shortened form. The predicate nominative is an important idea. We'll take a look at the examples later. If it's used in direct address, and that means if you're calling this person, like when you say, oh God, or oh my dear friend, that's a direct address. Or as an appositive of another word, and that word you saw earlier in the video very briefly. Appositive is when something is repeated. We'll see them when we discuss them more in detail here. So let's go over those four situations. Number one is the subject of a verb. In order to find the subject of the sentence, you need to ask who or what is doing this action. Okay, so identify the verb and ask yourself who is doing the verb or what is doing this action of the verb. So here we have Jonah was in the belly of the whale for 3 days. So you identify the verb. The verb is was. He was in the belly of the whale for 3 days, whatever. Who was there? And so that would be Jonah. That's pretty easy, right? How about the next sentence? Well, sentence like the next one is not so easy. How beautiful upon the mountains are his feet. So this is an inverted sentence where the syntax is different. The syntax is the word order, and this kind of word order happens usually for effect, usually in poetic lines. How beautiful something is, or How beautiful is that thing? And the subject in that sentence is that thing. There is no other word that is. And so here the verb is are. What are what? We're saying that the feet are beautiful. So that's the object, not the object in this case because we have a linking verb, but that completes the sentence. But we are talking about feet as the subject. And so those two words, Jonah and feet, are subjects in the subjective case of the noun. What about predicate nominative? What is this idea? This happens when you have a linking verb. If you have a linking verb, okay, the nominative case is used. And this is all the be verbs are linking verbs, right? So when we're talking about verbs, the definition that we try to memorize was, what is a verb? Hopefully you remember, verb is an action or state of being, we say. So most verbs are action verbs, but there are some state of being words, and these are called linking verbs. All the be words, and that is one verb with different declensions, right? Is, was, will be, have been, had been. This is all different forms of the same verb, be. Okay. How about become, seem, appear, prove, and look? These words are also linking verbs. These are commonly used as linking verbs because they're saying pretty much the same thing as the to be verb. How they function is they function as equal sign. So if I say I am a teacher, I equals teacher. If I say I look like let's say something nice, I look like an angel, let's say, okay? Or no, I guess that wouldn't work too well. Let's give another example. I look happy. All right, so I, what am I? I equals happy. And the verb I use there is I look. Okay. What about if I become something? Or he became the president. Well, he eventually equals the president, right? And so in that case, we would consider that verb linking verbs. So what's the deal with the nouns? Well, predicate nominative is what we're talking about. These words, when on the other side here, on the right side of the equal sign, if the word is a noun, we call them predicate nominative. Sometimes teachers say predicate noun because it's easier to understand and remember versus predicate adjective, because those are your two choices. You get predicate noun or predicate nominative or the predicate adjective. So if you use teacher or president, that's PN, predicate nominative. Happy is your predicate adjective. And what is the rule that we're trying to learn? That this is, after the linking verb, these words are in the predicate nominative. They're in the nominative case because it's the predicate nominative. Nominative case is what we're talking about, that they're subject case. Not so important with the nouns, but what if you're going to put in a pronoun in that position? You're going to say, I am me or I am I. Okay, the proper thing to say is, I am I. Okay, of course the sentence structure will be different with different words there, but the word that has to go there is an I and not a me, because you want nominative case in the predicate nominative position. He was what? He was he, not a him. Okay, that's the rule that we have to remember for later. Let's look at some examples here. PN examples, predicate nominative examples. God is one. God is your subject, and you have equals one. All right, so subject, verb, and predicate nominative. The Bible we're talking about is equal sign. Bible equals what? A little known book. All right, so we're going to say Bible equals book. Yes, then that is a linking verb with predicate nominative there. Bible what? Has become. Has become is the verb. Little known book. Okay, we're saying the same thing. Bible equals book. Bible equals book. Okay, so the verb is linking verb there. We shall have been friends. Okay, that would be, let's see, future perfect in the passive. All right, that would be passive future perfect. That would be very unusual form of the verb, but we will have been. Yes, perfect. Passive? Maybe not passive. Okay. Yeah, it's so unusual that I would have to stop and think about exactly what tense that is. But the verb, regardless, this is your be verb, and I guess I couldn't even say passive in this case because it's not an action verb, and action verbs can be active or passive, but linking verbs cannot. Yes, I do realize that, so no need to correct me on that one. We equals friends. Okay, we are not now, but later, when we look back, somewhere along the way, we shall have been friends before that point. But regardless, we equals friends. All right, we remain enemies. We equals enemies. Poet turned a traitor. In this case, the poet didn't do any action of turning. The poet equals the traitor eventually. And so if you can do that equal sign, then you have a linking verb. All right, the third case here is the direct address. The word is used to address a person directly, and that's called a direct address. Villain, unhand me. Oh, judgment, thou art fled to brutish beasts. Will you roam, Romans? Okay, so on. All right, so this is you're directly addressing somebody, talking to your these people, like that last sentence. Your enemies, my friends, are my enemies. What? Okay, stop and think about it. Okay, this is your enemies, my friends, are my enemies. Okay, so I'm talking to my friends, you. I'm calling you my friends. And so this is a direct address, and my statement to you is that your enemies are my enemies. All right, the rule we're trying to learn is that these words are direct address, and they are in the nominative case. Will that ever make a difference on anything? I really don't think so. I don't think, because you can't really substitute these with pronouns. So I don't think that's too important, but it is one of the things in grammar, so we're covering it. Appositive is the last situation. It identifies the same person or object under another name. Okay, and so you have to look at the example to understand it. Tom, the piper's son, stole pigs. The sentence is Tom stole pigs, but we want to state who this Tom is, so we restate the subject with commas on both ends. That is necessary, and we restate that person in different words. And so this is not a description, it's a restatement of that person, and we call it an appositive. So a noun is in the nominative case if it is in apposition with another noun in the nominative case. That means if Tom is in the nominative case, then this word is the same thing as Tom, so it must also be in the nominative case. Bugler, little boy blue. Okay, nominative case, because they're both the subject. Mary, a gardener, planted cockle shells. Okay, Mary, gardener, same person. Mary is subject, so gardener is subject. That's it with the nominative case, but we have a few other cases to go over, so we'll go over that in the following videos. The book we're using is English Made Simple by Arthur Waldhorn.